Coming up on Hoosier Sports Night, Tyra Buss and Amanda Cahill ended their careers at IU with a bang.
And a legend in Indiana wrestling calls it a career. This is Hoosier Sports Night. Hello and welcome to Hoosier Sports Night. I'm Andrew Walker.
And I'm Maya Engel. It was quite the scene on Saturday at Simon Scott Assembly Hall as the Indiana women's basketball team celebrated a major accomplishment. Our Dan Black has more.
This was the scene Saturday afternoon inside Simon Scott Assembly Hall after the Indiana women's basketball team won their first WNIT championship in front of a record crowd of over 13,000. It was the culmination of one of the more peculiar seasons in recent program history. A team that came into the campaign with only 4 returners and 5 freshmen, it was unsure where this team would come at the end of the season.
We've come a long way starting from the beginning of the year until now, and we've made so much growth, and it couldn't have ended any better, especially for Amanda and I. But I'm really proud of my teammates, and I wouldn't rather have won with any other group. Through
the ups and downs, whether it be starting Big Ten play 2-5 or the 8-game win streak the team went on late in the season, IU had to prove how good they were. Despite not getting a bid into the NCAA tournament, the Hoosiers chose to accept a WNIT bid and rolled through the competition to get to this championship game. IU's 65-57 victory over the Virginia Tech Hokies in the final did not come easy. The Hoosiers finished shooting 41% from the field, but won by their smallest margin of victory throughout the 6 games of the WNIT. For seniors Amanda Cahill and Tyra Buss, they end their IU careers in a way most people never can, as champions, able to hang another banner inside Simon Scott Assembly Hall. After 4 years in the Cream and Crimson, Buss and Cahill will go down as 2 of the greatest players in program history. Both players had record-breaking seasons, with Buss becoming the all-time leader in points, assists, and steals, while Cahill moved up to second all-time in rebounds, finishing her career with over 1,100 boards. Although their careers are now over, they've set up a bright future for the program.
But they have put us in a situation now where, we want more.
Reporting for IOS TV Sports, I'm Dan Black.
The win caps off legendary careers for Tyra Buss and Amanda Cahill, and the Hoosiers will hang a banner in Assembly Hall.
After 26 years at the helm, Indiana wrestling coach Dwayne Goldman has announced his retirement. Goldman leaves the program as the team's winningest head coach after coaching 3 NCAA champions, 30 All-Americans, 113 NCAA qualifiers, and 13 teams placed in the top 25 at the NCAA championships. Goldman cited his reason for retiring as, quote, "As Indiana University proceeds into what I believe will be its athletic golden age, with unbelievable new facilities and support being provided, I have decided that it is time for me to retire from coaching and allow a new era of IU greats to emerge," end quote. Assistant coach and 2008 NCAA champion Angel Escobedo will become the program's 8th head coach in Indiana wrestling history.
While the end of the semester is approaching, the baseball team is only halfway done with their regular season schedule. IUS TV baseball reporter Austin Mechicardi joins Jack Grossman in studio to give us an update on the season so far.
Thanks, Maya. At 20-5, the Hoosier baseball team is off to its best start since they started 19-3 back in 2013. And of course, we all know what happened there. They made a College World Series run that year. One of the biggest reasons for improvement for the Hoosier Nine has been the pitching. It was such a struggle for them last year, but they own a 2.68 ERA this season, best in the Big Ten. Austin, why has the pitching been so much better this season?
This pitching staff has done so many different things well. I think the big key has been that they've been able to get ahead in counts. They've gone out and they've pounded the strike zone early, and that is just key for any pitcher. And then you also look at the fact that, up and down the staff, they manage to work the inside and outside halves of the plate. They don't get too predictable. They mix up their pitches. And I think that that is very, very important to the success of this staff. They're doing it well, and that's why we're seeing them perform so well and have great numbers so far.
Yeah, and Logan Sowers is having another big year for Indiana. He's drawn almost as many walks this year through 25 games as he did last year in 59. Why has he been so much more disciplined at the plate?
Well, in the past, you see Logan Sowers, he's a big guy, and, he's a power hitter, so you automatically assume that, maybe he's a free swinger, he goes out there, and maybe he has been a bit in the past. Maybe he hasn't been that, patient batter. But this year, he's really, really been locked in at the plate. He's drawn 16 walks in 24 games. Last year, it was 20 and 59. That's an astronomical difference in case, you don't want to do the math there. That's just tremendous for Logan Sowers. And when a batter of his caliber, one of the best power hitters in the Big Ten, can add that extra weapon of being able to draw a walk, that's lethal for opposing pitchers.
Yeah, and he has had a really big year for Indiana, and he's been able to drive guys home because Logan Kalitha at the top of the lineup has been able to get on base a bunch this year. What's made his transition coming from John A. Logan College so smooth to getting to the top of the order and really having a lot of success for IU?
Logan Kalitha has to be the breakout of the player of the year so far for Indiana, and I think it's just because he's such a dynamic athlete. You look at Kalitha, and he's fast. He can play the field. He can hit for power. He can hit for average. He can do everything. He's shown off, his bat, the pop in his bat. He had a grand slam in his first weekend as a Hoosier, and he's hit a few more home runs as the season's gone on. But he's also very, very good at just getting on base, just flat out. He can get on base however he needs to. He can get a hit. He can walk. He can get hit by a pitch. He has been uncanny at getting hit by pitches so far this season, and I think that as the Hoosiers table setter, he is just a key to the entire lineup.
Yeah, he's proven he can get on base in a lot of different ways, including painful ones. I'm sure he wouldn't mind if he didn't get hit as often as he has, but hey, getting on base is getting on base. The Hoosiers have an absolute gauntlet of a schedule remaining. Indiana plays 8 teams that are in Baseball America's projected NCAA tournament field, as well as 3 more conference series against teams that are right on the bubble on the outside looking in right now. What does Indiana have to do to prepare for this really tough schedule and brutal May that they have?
Well, in the next 3 weekends, they've got Purdue, Northwestern, and Illinois. Purdue is, having a little bit more of an up year than they did last year. Northwestern, not that great of a year so far, but they were the darling of last year's Big Ten tournament. They made a great run. People think that the program is on the rise, even if they aren't getting the results yet. So they're going to have to be locked in for that series. And then Illinois, by a lot of people, is being projected as an NCAA tournament team. A lot of people have them as a 2 seed. So over these next 3 weekends, Indiana is going to need to rack up some wins because once they get to May, all bets are off. That schedule is wild. They're going to have to be elite if they want to, do well in May.
Thanks, Austin, so much for joining us, and we look forward to catching up again with you soon to talk more Hoosier baseball. But for now, back to Andrew and Maya at the desk.
The Hoosiers will be home this weekend as they host rival Purdue for a 3-game series beginning Friday at 6:05 p.m.
Indiana softball will look to build on their hot start to conference play this weekend when they host Nebraska in Bloomington. After going undefeated in the first 2 weekends of Big Ten play, IU softball will look to continue its winning ways this weekend when the Nebraska Cornhuskers come to Bloomington. The Hoosiers came out firing 2 weekends ago in a sweep over Ohio State and were able to keep it going a week later when Indiana traveled to East Lansing to take all 3 from Michigan State.
Maddie Westmoreland is quickly becoming one of Indiana's offensive leaders as just a freshman, with 2 home runs on March 23rd versus Ohio State and then 5 more RBIs in the following weekend against the Spartans. The Cornhuskers are 25-12 on the year and recently took 2 of 3 from Michigan State. But for Indiana, head coach Shonda Stanton says the Hoosiers have everything they need to be successful this weekend.
Oh, sure, it gives you confidence, and I think very similar. We've watched Nebraska play a couple times in preseason tournaments, and they're very much like Ohio State as far as their ability to hit. And so, the keys are working ahead. When you give hitters counts, whether you get down 2-0 or 3-1, that hitter's just locked in and hungry. But if we keep control and we stay ahead, good things happen.
The Hoosiers will welcome in-state foe Butler for a doubleheader on Tuesday before traveling to Maryland to face off the Terps next weekend.
Indiana will host in-state rival Purdue and DePaul this weekend as they continue their home stretch. Here's IUS TV's beat reporter Spencer Aber with the preview.
Indiana will look to bounce back this weekend after splitting their last two matches. On Saturday, they had an improbable comeback win over Iowa, and on Sunday, against Nebraska, nothing went their way. This team needs to get their doubles lineup going because their singles isn't strong enough to beat some Big Ten opponents. Here's head coach Ramir Azqui on what he expects this weekend.
You know, all my focus is on Purdue. You know, obviously it's a very good team. They beat Nebraska yesterday, and you know, so it's going to be a dogfight like it always is. It's always going to come down to a last match, and the last 2 years the road team has won. So I want to make sure we break that streak and try to win the match at home.
Reporting for IUS TV Sports, I'm Spencer Aber.
Those matches will take place Saturday at 11 a.m. and Sunday at 3 p.m. from the IU Tennis Center. With only 4 weeks remaining this semester, time is running out to attend Hoosier athletic events and to earn Crimson Guard reward points.
Here are the events where you can earn your Crimson Guard reward points.
When Hoosier Sports Night continues, we'll take you inside Indiana football's Pro Day.
And a special group of seniors takes the pool for the final time in Bloomington. You're watching Hoosier Sports Night.
Welcome back to Hoosier Sports Night. Indiana University tied a record for sending 5 Hoosiers to the NFL Combine. Those same athletes had a chance to show off for scouts again at IU's Pro Day, and our Joe Cantor has the story.
Indiana University hosted its Pro Day inside the Mellencamp Sports Pavilion. The workouts and exercises gave IU's NFL hopefuls one last chance to impress scouts before April's upcoming NFL Draft. Each athlete had something different to prove. Quarterback Richard Lego was throwing for a cause, showing off his arm to raise awareness for leukemia. The fastest 40-yard dash belonged to Richard Fan, who clocked in a 4.36. Simi Cobbs and Chase Dutra were not far behind, clocking 4.540s. The primary focus of the day, though, was the linebackers, Chris Covington and T. Gray Scales, who both had huge, outstanding performances. Scales recorded a 35-inch vertical, and Chris Covington a 9.8 broad jump. Tom Allen was clear, as good as these guys are on the football field, they're even better off of it.
They set the standard, and you use that in recruiting, you know, to be able to show the way they're going to be developed when they come here. And some of these guys came in as you know, good, solid players, and they're leaving here as you know, highly regarded NFL prospects. You know, so that's the turnaround that you want in a program. So yeah, but it's a lot of good players that we're going to have to replace.
The NFL Draft will kick off April 26th. Reporting for IUS TV Sports, I'm Joe Cantor.
As Joe said, the NFL Draft is on April 26th, and for those Indiana greats, they'll hope to hear their name called.
The Indiana water polo team hosted senior night for a historic senior class last Saturday when they battled the number 9 Michigan Wolverines at Councilman Billingsley Aquatic Center. Our Jeffrey Matthews has the recap.
The Hoosiers found themselves down early when the Wolverines scored 2 quick goals in the first 3 minutes of the game, before IU would use defense to shut out Michigan in the second period. Seniors Kelly Matthews and Sarah Young scored goals to put Indiana up 2 at the half. IU and Michigan would trade blows throughout the second half, but Michigan would extend their 1-point advantage midway through the fourth and hold on for the 7-9 victory. Even in the loss, Indiana celebrated the successful career of 7 seniors who finished with over 600 combined goals scored. For IUS TV, I'm Jeffrey Matthews.
Next up for the Hoosiers is a road trip to the East Coast. They'll play Brown University on Friday in Providence, Rhode Island, before heading to Boston to compete in a tournament hosted by Harvard on Saturday and Sunday.
Although the swimming and diving national championships may be over, we have some international news coming out of the pool this week. USA Swimming just recently named IU swimming coach Ray Lewis to be the men's head coach for Team USA in the 2018 Pan-Pacific Championships this August in Tokyo, Japan. Last month, Lewis was named the NCAA Swimming Coach of the Year and is still receiving recognition for his team's performance this past season. Lewis helped lead IU men's team to a third-place finish in the national championships for its 6th top 10 finish in the past 7 years. Lewis has also won 9 Big Ten Coach of the Year awards in his 16 years as a Hoosier. We will look to carry his success as a Hoosier with him into Japan.
The IU rowing team wasted no time getting their first win of the season. On Saturday morning, they finished as the #1 team at Doc Hosea Invitational in Cherry Hill, New Jersey, in their first official competition this spring. Indiana has 4 rowing crews, and 3 of those 4 finished in first place in the final. The first varsity 8 went head-to-head with Dartmouth University for most of the day until they finally defeated them in the grand final heat. The first varsity 4 powered through their heats, getting ahead of Penn, which put them in first place. IU's second varsity 4 absolutely dominated their opponent Cornell, beating them by 10 seconds in the grand finals. IU's second varsity 8 was the only crew that didn't finish first. They placed second in their first morning heat, but couldn't quite catch up to Syracuse in the final, ultimately grabbing 4th place. The Hoosiers face off against not 1, but 2 Big Ten teams on April 17th when they head to Ann Arbor, Michigan. They'll compete against both Michigan and Michigan State as part of the Big Ten double duel.
That will do it for our show this week. Don't forget to like our page IUSTV Sports on Facebook and follow us on Twitter at IUSTV Sports. For Maya Engel, I'm Andrew Walker, and we'll see you next week.